Very welcome to Animana and Hecho por Nosotros. Today we are at the Youth Forum 2022. It's a great opportunity to join voices with youth around the world in order to go together to give action to the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. Youth, you are the present, you are the future. You have a huge opportunity to be the change makers that our society deserves. I would like today to share my own experience on how we create this journey around sustainability, regenerative models, and this open platform that you are all invited to be part, to be the main actors. I was born in Patagonia, surrounded by that beautiful place and nature and biodiversity ecosystem, communities, artisans, and beautiful people. It's from there that I connect with nature and its laws, and also around collaboration. Maybe in Patagonia we are few, so we really need to collaborate. I could see the huge work that implies to create, to offer a good quality natural fiber as can be the merino wool from Patagonia. And at the same time, the difficulties locally in order to create value added. It's for that I created the brand Animana, a brand that gathers producers, artisans from Patagonia and all across the Andes, the camelids, the different indigenous people with their textile richness and cultural assets that are so important for our whole society. From there is that we learn the problems that the value chains they have and they face in order to create value added and to be integrated and be part of the international fashion industry. And hand by hand with Hecho por Nosotros is that all these years we co-create with economists, business, academics from different areas, designers, educators, international leaders of policy makers, and brands and experts in the fashion industry. We co-create this journey for a systemic change.
Who do we educate, right, on waste? Because clearly these landfills that are these dump sites and all of these things, like who's the target audience for educating on waste? If someone wants to go out there and say, I'm trying to educate these people, because from the initiatives that Miriam and her collaborators have created, it's targeting people who are disadvantaged or people who are in need. And in most of the cases, these are not the people creating waste. So when you are trying to educate and advise on waste, how should we go about it? Does anyone have like suggestions?
Okay. And basically what we are trying to do is normalize reuse, because what happens is that a lot of people, when they see, when they are invited to, share their items or reuse others' items, they tend to say, oh, I'm not a charity case, this is not for me. But then in the same breath, they complain about how prices are, how items are too expensive to buy, which is why our platform exists in the first place, so that they can obtain items they need from others, which will help them save money in the long run. So what we're trying to do is normalize reuse, regardless of your class, regardless of whether you're rich or poor. Either way is going to help you save money. But you asked a great question about who should we educate? And I think we need to educate ourselves, the consumers, because if we weren't demanding for some of these items that were being produced, they wouldn't be produced in the first place. So
Thank you very much. Leslie, please.
Yes, so I agree, the consumers, but I also have to say that it's unfair to say, to blanket consumers as one category, because, you know, in South Africa, let me give it a context to my country. In South Africa, if I am someone that's saying, okay, as consumers, we cannot be buying things, you know, we cannot be over demanding things. But I mean, class is a factor. We have to include it, in that you cannot expect somebody that comes from a lower class to like not want to buy a shirt. They need a shirt, they need to go to work, or they need to go look for a job. Unemployment is at its peak in South Africa. That's why I think I'm quite confused. I'm also quite curious as to like who is the person that is over consuming, over buying, and how do we specifically target them? Because it's at a disadvantage if you are just saying consumers. You know, there's different kinds of consumers. Someone who's buying for their need. They need that t-shirt. They really do. Or else they don't have anything to wear to work. And something like your initiative is amazing, where people are doing a back and forth, and it's a loop and a circle of, you know, like continuous use.
100% agree with you, Lesedi, because in India, especially, it's a country where unemployment is rampant everywhere, in every single state, because it's so highly populated. And to like classify the consumer as the only people to educate in the fashion industry is actually wrong, because it puts so much more responsibility on us. And we ourselves are still figuring things out, because as you said, we can't just lump everyone into one category and expect change to happen, because there have been instances, and we have seen research where you'll find people go to Shein and do these humongous Shein hauls where they spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on fast fashion, which literally makes no sense. They buy like 20 different tank tops and 15 different shorts. Do they need that? That raises a question where, what is that person's income? Like, they're buying $1,000 worth of Shein. They could have easily spent $500 per like each on sustainable garments and made a difference. But people like us, like me especially, I come from a middle class family, and we can't afford to sit and buy things like that. So we are forced to, you know, buy things from fast fashion. I don't know if, you know, it's a huge conundrum that we live in. I feel like the problem when it comes to education and people knowing what fast fashion is, I think stems from education in schools, especially. Like, your upbringing, the way that your family treats waste in your house creates huge amounts of impact on how you are as a person in general. Like, I'm somebody who doesn't use much plastic. I don't use one-time waste plastics. We don't do that. And I guess that same ideology has now transferred to how I consume garments. So I think it's how we educate our children starting, and tell them that environmentalism and protecting the environment isn't just a subject in school. It's an issue that has so much more impact. I mean, instead of learning math and trigonometry, which you're never going to use in life, at least be educated on what environmentalism means. I'm sorry, I'm getting very emotional, but it's something that's been really bothering me, and I'm really happy you brought this up.